Do you remember the last time you took a test? Was it easy peasy, or did you think you weren't going to make it out of there alive? Imagine that stress, but 10 times more when it comes to taking the American College Test, or more commonly known as the ACT. This test is used to determine whether or not some kids get into college. Students across the nation stress about this test. They spend lots of time preparing for it, but the thing is they don't know what's going to be on the test, so they don't know what to study for, which may cause them to have test anxiety and not show their full potential while taking the test. And what happens if you're a bad test taker, but you're excellent at studying and you know the material and you get good grades when you know the material? That's why I believe that the ACT should not be used to determine whether or not a student should get into college. I have 3 main points to help support my argument. The first one is that the ACT is misused and abused. The second one is that the ACT is not an accurate way to determine a child's intelligence. And third, that the time preparing for the ACT should be used during other scholarly activities. Hauser's book, written in 1999, states that the ACT is one of the most frightening things for students nearing the end of high school. It's an unfair way to determine their work ethic in learning new material. My class took a college readiness test, and during this test, it determined if we were to graduate high school and start working right away, whether or not we'd be ready to work. We psyched ourselves out with questions like, what if I don't pass? Will nobody hire me? Will I not do well in my job? That's exactly what the ACT does, but about college-level courses. So as you can see, the ACT is misused and abused. Now for my second main point, I'd like to say that the ACT is an inaccurate way of determining someone's intelligence. Even with strict proctoring, there's many different ways people can cheat while taking the ACT. I found these statistics, and they weren't necessarily shocking to me, but they really helped my argument. 80% of high-achieving high school students admit to cheating. 95% of cheating high school students say they haven't been caught or accused of cheating. And 85% of college kids say that cheating is necessary to stay ahead in their classes. I, as a high schooler, witness this all the time with people asking for their homework because they forgot to finish a question or two, or they sit really close to each other during a test so that they can exchange answers. This is really easy to do during the ACT because with a large amount of people signing up and really small classrooms, they sit really close together and it's really easy to see each other's answers. Another reason it's an inaccurate way to determine intelligence is that teachers may change the answers. Now you're probably thinking the same thing I'm thinking when I first saw that too, was why would a teacher do that? Well, they might feel pressure from their peers or their administrators or the parents of their students for them to do well. They might fear that if they get a low score, that they might lose their job because they didn't teach them well enough or enough material. They might think that if they're a spectacular teacher, that if their students get average or below average grades, that their reputation of being an excellent teacher might go down. And they might want funding for their department during school, or they might want a pay raise. So as you can see, the ACT is not an accurate way of determining someone's intelligence. And that moves me to my third argument, is that preparing for the ACT, that time and money could be used during other scholarly activities. On average, people spend more than 100 hours preparing for the ACT. During that time, they could be doing extracurricular activities like volleyball, basketball, track, Family and Career Community Leaders of America, which is FCCLA, or Future Farmers of America, which is FFA. And for some people, when you put these things on applications, that might be more important or as important as your ACT score. So that's the time part. Now let's get to the money part. Some New York families spend $20,000 preparing for the ACT and $600 an hour for tutors to tutor their child for the ACT. And in my opinion, if that's a lot of money, and so why not just put that towards your college tuition? Because what if your child gets a low score? That would mean that all that money and time went to waste anyway. And even if you did get an excellent score, it's very, very hard to get that much money back with scholarship money unless you get a full ride to college. So as you can see with my 3 main points, that the first one was that the ACT was misused and abused. The second one was that the ACT is an inaccurate way to determine a child's intelligence. And the third one was that time preparing for the ACT could be used during scholarly activities. That the ACT should not be used to determine someone's acceptance into college. My peers in my junior class have excellent GPAs. They strive to get good grades. They study all the time. We're all in NHS, or most of us are. And when they study really hard for the ACT and then they come back with scores that they didn't expect, they wanted them to be higher, it's really hard as their peer to see them bully themselves because they're letting one test determine their academic intelligence. So yes, I believe that the ACT should not be used to determine a child's acceptance into college. So join me and call a meeting with your school to discuss ways to inform people about different ways different ways to accept people into college. So thank you for watching. Holy cow, I couldn't breathe for the past 10 minutes.